Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to film a little video about starting book 3 in the Outlander series and how the read along is going for me so far. So if you're interested, stick around. Okay, so I am on book 3 of the Outlander series, Voyager. Now I'm going to show you my copy of the book. It's embarrassing. Just wait. And I started reading a little bit ahead of the deadline to start because I finished book 2 early. So just a couple of days. Today is July 27th that I'm filming. We were supposed to start yesterday, but I actually had started on the Saturday. But I don't think that matters. It's nice to have a little bit of read ahead time so that if I do fall behind later on, I have that kind of built in. And we are supposed to finish this book Sunday, August 15th. So that's nearly 20 days away. I will definitely finish by then. Yeah, right now I'm on page 300 something of about 1,000 pages. So I'm 1/3 of the way done and I've read parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's my bookmark. That's where I am. You can already see the back cover has fallen off. The front cover has fallen off. The spine is completely smashed to bits. There are parts where I can put my bookmark through the spine. So this book is seen better days. I clearly bought it used at like a Heart and Stroke fundraiser, I assume. I blocked out this lady's address because I realized the sticker is still on and I don't want to rip it off or I'm sure the page is going to fall out. So yeah, this book has been much loved. Maybe when all 10 books are published and there's some beautiful, package of them all together and some beautiful arrangement, I will replace this book. If I need to, before then, of course, I will replace it with one of the bigger ones. This is a really small paperback. You can see, if I compare it to the size of my hand, it's just a little taller. They have kind of the big format books now, which I do prefer. And you'll see when we get to the newer releases, I have some of those. But yeah, this book really makes me chuckle because hours of entertainment in this, not great condition anymore book. So don't judge a book by its cover or its lack of a cover. That's the message there. Okay, so like I said, I'm about 1/3 of the way done. Lots more to read. I have read this book before. I want to say I've only read it twice before. For sure I read it once. I feel like I've read it twice, but not more than that. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, and there are kind of a couple big ideas I want to talk about. I want to talk about Lord John Grey, really important character. We had met him before. We met him in the previous book, but his importance wasn't really clear. So we meet him. He's a very important guy. Very cool also. I want to talk about the Claire, Roger, Brianna stuff that's going on. So all 5 parts of this, some takes place in 1968 in Inverness with those 3 characters. Some takes place in Scotland in various times, kind of following Jamie. I want to make sure that I talk about Claire, Roger, and Brie though, because it's not as exciting as Jamie's story maybe, but still very interesting, and I want to touch on a couple of things. And the third thing that I want to talk about is Jamie and Claire, of course. Okay, so Lord John Grey, so interesting. He is a character that I, like a wart, he has grown on me. I wasn't interested before, and I have not read all of his novels. So there is a whole subset of novels all starring Lord John Grey. I have not read them. I have read some of the short novellas, but I haven't read his big books. I'm sure I will at some point, but I'm not terribly interested right now. More interested in this. I think the first thing that I want to talk about is his memory of kind of the incident of his first meeting Jamie Fraser. So back in book 2, Dragonfly and Amber, Jamie is attacked in the woods by a young English spy or officer. And Jamie kind of plays a trick on him, pretending that Claire has been abducted and they're not married, to get the boy to talk. And of course the boy wouldn't have said anything if it was just him going to be killed or harmed, but to save Claire, he does. And that really shows Lord John Grey's character right off the bat, right? He won't break his word for his own safety, his own sake, but he would for Claire, because he thinks, oh my gosh, she's this innocent victim, this, this nice lady. It shows him to be really chivalrous. And the same sort of man as Jamie, right? Jamie would do the same thing. So that was interesting. We saw that incident in the last book, Dragonfly and Amber, only from Jamie's perspective though, and Claire's perspective. Now, Voyager, Jamie and Lord John Grey meet again. This time Jamie is a prisoner. John Grey is the supervisor of the prison. And John Grey is kind of remembering this incident, and you can just, in his memory, he's just humiliated. He's so mad that he fell for this dirty trick. Now realizing like that the woman was never in danger, and he didn't need to tell. And it was cool to see how he kind of lives with this memory of just everyone found out later that he's the one who spilled the beans, and he was kind of shunned. Only his brother and his lover Hector would talk to him, and it really changed John Grey's life, falling for this trick, and Jamie kind of having one over on him. So I thought that was really interesting. I really love getting inside his head. He's not as emotionally invested as maybe Claire is, or even Jamie is. John Grey really ends up liking Jamie, right? Where I am right now, Jamie has been kind of set free from the prison. The prison has been closed. It's no longer a prison. Now it's a military outpost. So all the prisoners have gone, most to America, but John Grey kind of saved Jamie from that horrible trip and being a slave, essentially, indentured slave in America, and instead made him a servant at a estate in England. And so I really liked getting inside his head. I really liked seeing their friendship and their relationship develop. John Grey is a gay character, or at least a bisexual character. And due to Jamie's past with Blackjack Randall and the, morals of the time, Jamie's not really cool with that. John Grey sort of hits on him once. It's a little ambiguous. Jamie does not respond positively, and that kind of causes a falling out, but eventually they do get back to a place where they're friends again. And I really enjoyed seeing Jamie's growth as a character, John Grey's growth as a character, in all of that stuff. So I really, really like that. And what I wanted to talk about too was just the contrast of John Grey and Blackjack Randall. They both have roles where they are in the power position. They're English officers, and they're in charge of a large prison. And Jack Randall uses his position of power to, sexually abuse some of the prisoners, or just abuse them. If it's not sexual in one case, it just might be just abuse. Whereas John Grey is really a moral, upstanding character who takes zero pleasure in kind of being in charge of all these guys, and really you can see he does the best for them. So I just thought that was very interesting, in that they're very similar characters in some ways, some of their backstory, their positions in life, but totally different men. And I think Jamie kind of sees, he learns through experience with John that he's a good guy, and can be trusted. And that same moral fiber that he saw when John Grey was 15 in the previous book, he now sees again as John's a man. So I really, really enjoyed that. The funny part that I wanted to point out was there's a scene where John and Jamie are talking about literature, and they're talking about this book, Pamela. I haven't read it. And Jamie and John, they're talking about book length, and how someone heard it and said, oh, a book that long, it must not be very good, because authors should be, or they've heard it said that authors should be carefully choosing their words, and it shouldn't be that long. And I think Jamie says that he heard from a lady novelist at one point that, no, that's not it. Just the rich description, and and, you know, getting into all the nitty gritty details and all of that. And I thought that was a real interesting, like, and funny nod to herself from the author, because this book, like I said, it's 1,059 pages, my copy. The longest book so far, I believe. And I'm sure she gets a lot of flack for the length of her books. So I thought that was quite funny of her to kind of include that. And yeah, I really like the scenes with John Gray. Oh, and also talking about the evil characters, right? Is having such an evil character a mark that the author is somehow, you know, so evil? And Diana Gabaldon has said herself, like, yeah, she comes up with all the characters, so there must be some parts of her that are dark like that. And I just thought that was really funny. I really enjoyed that part. Okay, I also want to talk about the Claire, Roger, and Brianna stuff. I don't find most of it as interesting as the Jamie stuff in this section, just because Jamie is having all these adventures, and he's always moving around, right? Like, oh, he's in prison, then he's at this estate in England, then maybe he's going back to Lollybrock. Oh, at the start he was living in a cave at Lollybrock but hiding. Like, it's very interesting. Whereas the Roger, Brianna, and Claire stuff, it's kind of a mirror to that, where they're trying to see if they can figure out where he was at specific times. So they hear the story of someone living in a cave and they go, oh, that might have been him. Like, that was Jamie. Like, they find it on a map. Oh yeah, okay. And then they find the prison records of when he was there. Okay, they found that. Then they found some proof that he was at this estate in England. So they're kind of investigating and doing their historical research to find out where he was. What I want to talk about with those three, though, is the kind of love story that's developing a little bit in this section between Brianna and Roger. I think that's nice. It definitely seems more Roger's more interested, but Claire makes note a couple of times that she can tell that Brianna's interested too. So I thought that was interesting. Excited to see more. Like I said, I'm only a third of the way through the book, so there's more coming. And it's been the three of them right now, and Claire has just left at the end of part 5. She has just left. I did think the leaving scene with Claire was a little weird. I did think that was strange. So she kind of tells Roger, oh, I'm just going to leave early in the morning. I don't want a big, you know, it's going to be so hard for me to say goodbye to my daughter. But then they meet them, the Roger and Brianna meet her at the Stones. And so she has a big goodbye with her daughter. But in the book, it just doesn't seem very real to me. Like that, I don't know. I thought it would be more emotional. Maybe that's just me. Yeah, so anyway, they're doing their investigating. Now Claire has left, so it'll be just Roger and Brianna living in the late 60s. So I'm interested to see more of their story develop without kind of the supervision, I guess, of Claire there, the mom, hanging around. So that should be good. The last thing that I want to touch on was that Claire and Jamie really are a mirror for each other in some of the major events that happen in their lives. So in lots of different ways, there are a couple ways that I found. So they're both sort of prisoners. So Jamie is really a prisoner. He's in a jail, you know, he's forced to wear chains, like he's in prison. Claire is kind of a prisoner of her relationship to Frank. He's already passed away in this book, but we see lots of flashbacks with him. He didn't really believe her story, at least that's what he told her, and he would never discuss it, would never let her discuss it. So there's a whole section of her life that she's not allowed to like reference or talk about. And it's very obvious Frank is kind of running around on her, which is fine because they're not in love. Like, you get it, right? I get it at least. I get it. I get why he's not faithful. But she can't say anything about that either. And yeah, she's just kind of a prisoner, right? Like, she's forced to live without Jamie. She thinks he's gone. She can't talk about it. She can't mourn. She can't really be free. So I found that really interesting. Another way in that they mirror each other is that they both leave children behind. So Claire left her first daughter, Faith, behind when she left the past. I don't even think she really tells Frank about that part. Like, she might have told him, you know, oh, I had a pregnancy that wasn't successful or something in the course of discussing her medical history. But like, you know, she lost a child. She can't really talk about that with her husband. And then at the end of this part 5, she leaves her other daughter and she returns to the past, leaving behind Brianna. Now she's a grown up now, she's 18, but still. And Jamie, of course, leaves Brianna when he sends her back to the future unborn. And he also leaves his son, William, at this estate in England. So he has a one night of passion with a daughter of the house. She ends up having his child, but while married to another man. And Jamie is lucky enough to be able to like kind of take part in his upbringing as a groom and as a, you know, master of the horses at this estate. But then as the boy is aging, he's realizing, oh, we look really alike. People are going to start connecting the dots. Like, to protect the son, I have to go. Like, I can't be here. And so they both leave children behind. It's just incredibly sad. And it's just an interesting way, again, that their lives kind of mirror each other, even though it's totally different circumstances. They are kind of this mirror. The other thing I think is that they both sort of develop new professions or new like skills. So Claire becomes a full-fledged doctor. She's the only woman in her class at med school. And then she's a practicing surgeon and physician. Jamie learns, I don't know, he gains more experience as a leader, I think, in the prison. And then he takes up a new trade as a printer. At the end of part 5, we see that he's a printer. So he's totally new career. And then the last way that they kind of mirror each other, now this one's silly, but they both read romance novels. So I thought this was quite funny. Claire reads romance novels in the doctor's lounge while she's trying to de-stress or distract herself from, you know, a tough surgery or, you know, a tough patient. And so she finds these like really cheesy romance novels. It was quite fun to read about them in the book. And Jamie also finds some sort of like, yeah, kind of erotica or something that he's reading. And they're both like reading it, and like the description is just like, whoa, like, oh my gosh. And they're kind of like looking, you're like, no one better catch me reading this. And I thought that was another really funny nod to herself from the author, Diana Gabaldon, because she's kind of been accused, I guess, of these books being romances. She insists that they're not, although they have romance in them, they're not true romances, because romances are traditional courtship stories. They're married at the end, and then that's the end of the story. Well, of course, the Outlander series goes much further than that. So yeah, I thought that was really funny. Just how the two of them kind of mirror each other in this way as well. I'm very excited to keep reading. I am actually quite enjoying this book. So yeah, I will keep reading. We are going to, we're going on vacation next week. So hopefully lots of reading time. I feel like I might finish, you know, quite early. I think I might finish before August 10th, and the last day is August 15th. So we shall see. I will keep you posted. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. Those are the things that I kind of noted for this first third of the book. I think I will do one more update and then kind of a final thoughts video. If I have enough time. If I just race through and read it, maybe I'll just do one more video then before I start Drums of Autumn. So yeah, really enjoying this. Time is flying by. I'm reading quite quickly. I'm reading a lot, but loving every minute of it. So yeah, those are my thoughts so far on Voyager, book 3 in the Outlander series. If you are doing the same read along, or you would never read a book because it's terrible to do, or you really love Outlander, please comment below. Like this video, subscribe if you want to get notified next time I post, and thanks again for watching.